Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com. Hello and welcome to SciTech Culture, the show where we discuss science, technology and culture in its myriad of forms. My name's Ben Warner and I'm joined by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern for the first time in what seems like a long time, but it's been 3 months since our last episode, but it's good to be here, excited.
It is good to be here. It's good to be back.
Absolutely. We got a bit to talk about. It's been a while, so thanks for your patience with waiting for us to get back together and start getting back into it. So can't wait to do that. And it's timely, of course, that we return to an old favourite, although it's got a new coat of paint, and that's Windows 10. And we'll have a general discussion about that today, and a little bit about Apple, and also just about how devices these days are more personal than they've ever been. All right, we'll start with Windows 10. I think we've talked about Windows 10 before because I had to play around with the technical preview way back when, but now that I've got it up and running, it's not ever, according to Microsoft, it's never finished. That's their approach to it now. But
it used to be always in beta.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the version that was supplied on July 29th, I've got that on my both of my machines here. And the striking thing about it, and I'm sure Microsoft is gearing towards this, is that it just makes you forget that Windows 8 ever existed. It's such a natural successor to Windows 7 it's like they figured it out, and they probably should have done this the last time. So it's interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, I've always been thankful that I never went to Windows 8, always 8.1, which I consider probably now. So, we're up to 10, and it's very exciting what you got to report.
Yeah, exactly. I think what's fascinating, just to expand out a bit further, is that with Windows 10, the thing with the interface that you see straight away is that you'll see that Windows 7 users will just find it a natural step to the next upgrade. It looks like, a couple of years have passed and these are the new features. The smart thing that they did, and I can't imagine why they didn't think of this the last time around, was that it knows what's appropriate. So if you're working on a desktop PC, it displays the desktop and the desktop interface. If you're working on a tablet, it knows to put the tablet interface up. You can use the Metro app still. If you're in the desktop, it just opens them up in a normal window. You can easily, if you want, like I've tried this, you can actually flip it into tablet mode when you're in the desktop, and just to see what that looks like, and vice versa. But the point is that it just gives it. What's that? Sorry.
No more Metro rage?
No, I guess not. None of that full screen business anyway that was going on. And I don't even know. I mean, I never used Metro apps anyway, because I think it's like how you were saying, especially with Windows 8.1, you just booted it into the desktop and you just used it like it was Windows 7. So, and the irony too is that I think I was actually starting to stop using it on a regular basis. I just didn't find any reason to go in there. But with Windows 10, I just feel like I want to use it more than the previous version.
Okay, well that's a good sign, and happy news for the Microsoft fans.
I guess just finally, one other thing to point out is that the reviews have been really good for Windows 10, unsurprisingly. I think there have been some complaints about some few bugs and bits and pieces and things like that, but it's overwhelmingly been positive. But I don't think they had any other choice but to deliver a product that did that, because they were really in a hole with Windows 8.
Yeah, well, I don't know. A lot of the aggression towards Microsoft seems to have dissipated these days. So I guess it's a sign of the times.
Maybe it's just the fact that they've put themselves everywhere, like in terms of the software is on all platforms.
Or maybe it's just up to 20 years they've finally got it right.
Well, that's true too. Finally got some style in there. Now we'll just switch gears. Now we'll talk a bit about Apple and the believe it's called the Thunderstrike flaw that. Thunderstrike 2. It's a type of worm which hides inside a Mac's firmware, which is really basically screws the computer over quite nicely and is quite disturbing. I mean, we've heard for years that Macs have been supposedly invulnerable and to viruses and that, but I kind of always thought that was a bit like waving a red flag in front of a bull. Eventually, someone was gonna crack it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they have. I'm surprised it hasn't happened earlier, but I'm also really not very happy that this sort of thing's starting to happen, because I think you can probably hide your viruses, malware, and whatever else inside a Mac a lot more cleverly because the interface is cleaner.
Yeah, it's disturbing, isn't it? It could be a symptom too that they've just become such a big company, and now they're a target. They're not the underdog anymore.
Well, it flips back to the Microsoft thing. Everyone loves Microsoft now and hates Apple.
Exactly.
Who would have thought?
The old tall poppy syndrome comes into effect yet again. Now, I also just wanted to mention while we're on our little hiatus that I've now got a 6 Plus as well for one of my daily work. It was a good way to sort of experience that phone, and I really don't understand how people use phablets and these size phones. The thing is, it's got a nice screen, and it's really good that you can see everything so clearly, and you got a lot of real estate to play with, but it just doesn't feel like a phone to me. And I know it's ironic that people will pull me up, I'm sure, for that whole one-handed use thing, and I can't deal with a phone that's bigger than the iPhone 5 with the 4-inch screen. I have come to like the 4.7-inch screen of the iPhone 6. I think that's a really nice balance. Yeah. And I think I was saying to you before we got on that going up to the iPhone 6, I felt that the iPhone 5 is a very small phone now by comparison, but I don't have that feeling when I use the 6 Plus and then come back to the 6. Every time I come back to the 6, it feels like it's the right size. But when I go to the 6 Plus, I feel like it's a bit unwieldy. And the only real time I've ever felt that that's the 6 Plus size actually suited someone was when I saw a 7-foot guy walking down the street with massive hands, and it looked like a regular phone to that guy.
Well, I guess people like us, Ben, just aren't part of the phablet brigade.
Yeah, they are popular. They are around. Yeah. I've seen them and in handbags and whatnot, but other places. But yeah, some people might use it as that combo, tablet and phone option. Yeah. So they don't that's like their only device. Maybe that might work in that scenario, but not for me. Since I'm surrounded by devices even right now, it's not really of much use. But it was a good experience to find out what it was like.
Very good. Did it flex at all, Ben?
No, I haven't tried that. I wouldn't try that with a phone someone procured for me, but I'll have to see if there's any truth to that. Okay, now just finally, we're going to talk about how devices have changed over the years, and I think it's good with this Windows 10 discussion that we've been having, just to think back in the day. I mean, although I had a computer or two before I started using a Windows PC, I mean, by and large, the heavy PC usage started with Windows 3.1 back in, 93 or whenever it was when I got my first, I think it was a 386 computer. So it was, it's just good to kind of go back and see how that's evolved over so much time. But back then, they were just big hulking boxes on your desk. They didn't really feel personal in that way. Now we've got devices like I don't know if you really think of your iPhone as a computer. which it is. It's a very powerful mobile computer. Then you've got things like Fitbits and I'll have to mention the Apple Watch, I guess. But the Fitbit, I've just upgraded my Fitbit, and it actually is more accurate than the previous one, and it tells the time. So I'm wondering, and I managed to get it for $100. So I'm just wondering where the Apple Watch fits into that at $500. So it's interesting how things have changed, and I think people have also forgotten how they didn't work that well back then. Even though it was an amazing thing, today's devices work really well across all of the brands. And it's really, there was that amusing video that I saw. I can't remember, it was a comedian on a late night talk show, basically, I'll have to post it on our pages, who was actually saying that, he's making fun of the fact that, oh my God, it's bouncing off satellites and people are getting frustrated that their messages are getting through in, 10 seconds or whatever. Back in the day, we used to have phones that were physically plugged into walls and we couldn't actually walk around with them. So it's an amazing time that we're in, and these devices have just become a lot more personal, and we don't really think of them as computers as such.
Well, excluding the I think when you look at the Internet of Things, excluding the internet refrigerator, which is just a ridiculous idea, I think we'll see more and more now our phones becoming those devices. So we already see that. We get in the car and we connect our phone via Bluetooth to the car. We're taking our phones, using Apple TV or a Chromecast. We're using our phones now to control devices around us. And I think we'll see more and more of that in the future. And that's where the direction's heading, like you say.
Well, it's interesting. Like, so if you've got like a device on your wrist, and I keep avoiding the Apple Watch, of course, because I don't think it's there yet, by any stretch of the imagination. But okay, the Apple Watch to me would be a lot more useful, and I'm sure they'll probably build this in future versions of it. If, for instance, I could use it as very ubiquitously with Apple Pay, for instance, where you can pay for things by swiping your watch next to the reader. Then the next step would be, you check into your hotel and you use your watch to unlock your door and do that sort of thing. You use your watch to, or whatever device you have on your wrist to check into flights. It'll be your boarding pass. If it starts doing things like that, that's where I think that's an incredible place to be. And I don't think we're that far off it being being ubiquitous that way.
Well, and that's right. But should it be your watch? Should it be your phone? Doesn't matter. It'll be your car parking token. It'll be your transaction. It'll be everything. And we really are very close to that. I think if you think about PayWave, PayWave is the last gasp for the plastic card.
That's right.
Because the phone's more personal, more powerful, and more useful.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, I mean, even if you were just to wave your phone next to the reader, I guess that doesn't make much difference either. And I mean, I know that Apple Pay is available in the States and now the UK, but and I haven't investigated any of the Android options, but I'm sure that they've already got a whole host of things already on their platform because they've been ahead of the curve in that respect compared to the others. But it's just another step towards these devices just being so heavily integrated into your life. And, a friend of mine jokingly says that he'd love to see what would happen if the mobile network went down and, all the kids would be curling up, in balls, unable to cope with the lack of connectivity. But you can imagine in the future that if we're so heavily reliant on that type of connectivity, if it ever goes down, you'd almost wouldn't know what to do with yourself these days. We probably could because we knew what it was like back in the day without connections. But the new generation now, who knows?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And when connectivity goes down in the future, it'll be like when the power goes out now.
Yeah.
It'll be the equivalent disruption.
Yeah, lights out. But that might be a good thing for some people. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. So thanks again for that. And yep, good to be back online and getting into it. I'm sure we'll have lots of nice discussions going forward.
Excellent.
Absolutely. All right. So don't forget our website, I'm getting all tongue-tied. I haven't done this in months. SciTechCulture.com. You can get all of our links there. We've got a lot of content, blogs, videos, etc. So I've still been posting some photos. So I hope you've been enjoying those. You can interact with us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. I'd love to hear from you there. And if you think anyone's interested in our discussions in science, technology, and culture, feel free to send them to our website. We greatly appreciate that, or just subscribe to us on YouTube, Vimeo, or our audio feeds. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.